Hey guys, Matthew, and today I want to make a video on what I think is right now, at the moment, the best 100% Delirious map to be doing. Now, this has changed quite a bit, actually, since the start of the league. We went from one map, we started with Burials, which I thought was actually the best initially, because at the start of the league, Burial had a lot to offer, given that it was in the Lexajoris region with pathological and persecutory delusions. After that, though, when Delirious Orbs basically 20, 30, 20, 40, 60% and so on Delirious maps stopped being as profitable, we moved on to finally 100% Delirious, and we focused on Valdo's Rest because of the Diplomatic Escort node. That really pushed things to another level. Unfortunately, right now, Scarabs are in the dump and Breachstones are also in the dump. There's just not that much currency to be made outside of pure Exalt drops, which, by the way, are very common. So it's not like you're not going to make any money if you're going with a canyon strategy or something like that. But today I want to offer a new strategy. Now there's going to be a few different advantages to that strategy, the new one that I'll offer. And the first one is going to be no diplomatic escort, which for a lot of people is going to mean no more crashing. A lot of people have been crashing due to this node when encountering this big Harbinger pack because it's absolutely insane. But also this diplomatic escort actually has some good bit of RNG. It can spawn 4 Harbingers, but it could spawn over 10. So there is some RNG. It's not as consistent. I do still think it's good money. Now I'm probably biased due to the fact that I dropped the mirror shard yesterday from it, which was pretty awesome. But today I want to focus on a whole new challenge, and that's going to be Tower. Now, why Tower? Well, to put it simply, Tower has, first off, a pretty decent layout. It has a horrible boss, which we will be skipping, but the biggest reason why we're focusing on Tower is because it has a good divination card. It has the Nurse divination card, which 8 of them turns into a Doctor card, so over an Exalt for every single time you drop one of those, which is not bad. But the real kicker here is going to be the region that it's in. This is going to be the go-to tree, and I'll explain why, because it might look a little bit weird to you guys. Well, first off, we get cultural advancement. This gives you that every incursion monsters are at least magic. This paired with even just a little bit of magic find in 100% Delirious juiced up maps is absolutely insane, because that means that every single monster in there has significantly higher chance of dropping really good loot. Now, you pair that up with Twice Tempted. Twice Tempted gives you an additional strongbox, which is like whatever, but also strongboxes have 10% chance to be openable twice, which basically means 10% more strongbox, because you can open a strongbox and then you can open it again. If you open a strongbox, what happens is that the monsters spawn, and then once it's done, loot drops. Now, what happens is that you can click the strongbox, the same one, twice. Technically, it just means 10% more strongboxes. It's not insane, but why not? The reason we get it is because we want tamper-proof. Tamper-proof gives us all strongboxes are corrupted, and all strongboxes are at least rare. That right there is pretty busted, especially paired with some of the prophecies like Bountiful Traps, which gives you 6 strongboxes, or even Monstrous Treasure, stuff like that. This makes it so all of these strongboxes are going to be corrupted, all of them are going to be rare, and remember, we get a strongbox for free, and we're going to be using Ambush Scarabs to try to increase that even more once I get to the Scarab part of the video. Pretty nasty. Now, you'll see that I don't get Monumental. Why? Well, because it's trash. Quite frankly, 10% chance to get a Legion encounter means that you have literally 10% chance. So every 10 maps you're going to get a Legion. Now, I know that it's increased through, you know, the Uncharted Realms and stuff, but just to keep it simple. So that every 10 maps you get 1 Legion in a map, which is Tower, with a horrible layout for Legions. Why would you put a Legion in this map? That's not the play, which is something that I saw and the reason that brought me to make this video is because I saw this guide, which I'll be linking in the description. It's not awful or anything. The guy says how he made 5 mirrors in 7 days as a solo Magic Find player. Not bad. Now, I would love to actually see a picture of those 5 mirrors, because it's easy to say, hey, I made 50 mirrors, but then I don't show any of them. But either way, I just thought that some of the information in there was wrong, or at the very least not optimal, 100% optimal. So, one of the things that I thought was wrong was the use of Monumental. Instead, we go Scent of Blood. Now, Scent of Blood is 3% Beyond. The way that Beyond works in this game is that you kill monsters, and when they're close together, they will pop portals. The more portals that are close together, the more Beyond monsters spawn out of them. The more Beyond monsters spawn out of them, the more portals spawn, and at the end of that whole cycle, if you have enough portals that actually spawn close to each other, you will get Beyond bosses. Beyond bosses are pretty juicy. Now, Tower is a very, very small and linear map. So this 3% Beyond is insane because it adds up with all the other sources of Beyond that I'll be talking about in the video. Next, which is, I think, a node that people are sleeping on way too much, is Torn Veil. Powerful Beyond demons require one fewer portal to summon in the area. That basically means that the actual Beyond bosses, which are very juicy, take one less portal to spawn. Not bad, not bad. But Beyond portals and areas have 100% increased merging radius. Remember how I said that you spawn those little portals, and then when you get enough of them in a smaller radius, in a small area, the more like better monsters start to spawn. So you start with like magic monsters, and then rare, and then the Beyond bosses. Well, this makes it basically 100% increased merging radius. Means it makes it even easier. Paired with lots of Beyond, this node is absolutely insane for a linear layout such as Tower. Remember, Tower is just little corridors, right? Monsters are not super spread out. There's no reason to put a Legion, and there's no reason to put a Breach. That is completely wasted currency. So let's talk about the perfect Sextant modifiers. Now, these are going to be elevated Sextants that I'll be talking about, but you can also get the non-elevated ones, which is also, I think, one thing in the guide, which I think the guy actually was a little bit inefficient about. So the first thing we're going to go with is Hunted Traders. Now, Hunted Traders is not that good, but the thing is there's nothing else that really matters in this particular map, because remember, Breaches and Legions both suck. So Hunted Traders is all right. You don't need the elevated Hunted Traders, by the way. There's no difference. You can just get the cheap one. I just happened to roll it, so I kept it. Next, we are going to get Strongboxes are in range. Strongbox monsters have 600% increased item quantity. Remember that I said earlier that sometimes you'll be able to open the Strongboxes twice. That means that the 600% increased item quantity is going to double in its value. That right there is nuts. On top of that, an additional Strongbox, which pairs really well with our actual Legion, or actual region bonuses. Next, we are going to go with elevated Beyond, 8%. Now, you might think that there's not too big of a difference between a 6% roll and an 8%, be it the regular and the elevated mod, but there actually is. The more, every single 1% additional Beyond chance is basically a multiplier to how many Beyond you're going to get, and therefore how many Beyond bosses, therefore how much loot. And the last one is going to be, of course, Nemesis 4, which is an absolute insane mod, which drops like just tons of exalts. I've been averaging 2 to 3 exalt every single drop for the last few days. Every single map I ran with this mod, it is pretty insane in juicy maps. Now, what are the best Sextant rolls you can get? Well, remember how I was talking about hyping up all that Beyond stuff, you know, upgraded Beyond and Scent of Blood, putting Beyond on your map device? Well, you are going to get even more Beyond. You are going to go for Platinum, Watchstones, and Fraught. Fraught, or I might not be pronouncing that right, gives you 1% more. Now, 1% more doesn't sound that much, but if you pair 4 of them, that's 4% more Beyond. And if you pair that up with the Secret of Stones, that is 5% more Beyond. And look at that. The Beyond is 15% on the map device, right? This node here, which we always hype up, is only 3%. And now this is adding another 5% Beyond, which is absolutely insane, especially when you pair this up with Awakener level 9 and, you know, some juicy bonus objectives and all that. It becomes pretty crazy. So this is essentially how I set up my Glenerch Karn regions. Now let's talk about the map. The map does not consume Sextant charges and 100% Delirious. Now, you might be wondering, why currency? You always say, Matt, that currency sucks, and I do, and I believe that. And the reason why currency sucks, in most cases, is because currency is going to be pretty minimal in terms of how much returns you're going to get. But the thing is, you have to consider that we are running a T2 map, and Tower doesn't have the best mob count ever. We're running this solo, and we are basically not going to be pushing rewards. We're even going to be skipping the boss at the end. All of that put together means that we are not going to get a lot of reward tiles. You know how I've been pushing like 14, and I made a video why Cast on Crit sucked because it couldn't even push 13? In the juiciest of the juice with Diplomatic Escort maps, Uncanyon, full-on juiced. Well, imagine now, right? We're doing a smaller map. We're doing a T2 map. We're doing a map with no Legions. We're doing a map with no Breaches. We're doing a map where we skip the boss and with no Harbingers. Where's the money going to come from? Where's the reward tiles going to come from? They're not going to come from anywhere, and we're only going to get like 11 probably per map. We're not going to push 12, let alone 13, and just forget about 14 even existing. So the reason why we don't go Scarabs or Breachstones is because these are really good when you can push high reward tiles in your map, because then you're getting more value out of your map. Currency is good when you're not getting a lot of reward tiles, because guess what? Even if you only drop an extra exalt every few maps, that exalt alone can nearly pay for your, half the map or even the full map if you drop 2 exalts. It adds up pretty well, and it pairs really, really well with the mod that we have here, which is Rare Monsters Have a Nemesis mod. Now, Rare Monsters Have a Nemesis mod is to be paired with Nemesis Monsters drop 4 additional basic currencies. I do not think that it's a good idea to fracture beyond in this specific instance. Actually, it's not at all. Sure, it would get you more monsters to spawn, therefore more loot, but you would be sacrificing Nemesis 4, which is absolutely insane. Like I said, it literally prints exalts. Now, another thing you might wonder is, why is there no Elder here? Why do we have area contains additional Blight Encounter? Well, that's very simple. The reason why we go Elder is because of bases. Not right. Now, of course, Elder also adds monsters to your map, such as, for example, if we look at my other base, which is Canyon, which has areas influenced by Elder. This is going to add some monsters to the map, some Elder portals, blah, blah, blah. Cool stuff. But it's mostly for the bases, or at least, especially in the earlier stage of a league, it's mostly for the bases. Now, what's cool about Blight is that it doesn't discriminate through layout. Even if your layout is garbage, it's still going to spawn just as much Blight monsters as it would. But since we're running a T2 maps, we don't care about the bases, so might as well try to get as much monsters as possible in the map, and a Blight Encounter is going to add significantly more monsters than the same, Elder influence that you would have on a higher tier map, but because we're running T2, bases don't matter. Which is, by the way, why are we running T2? Because we are going Magic Find. You could technically do T14, there's no reason not to do it, but the reason why we made this T2 is because we get to run Magic Find on our characters. Now, what I have here is just perfect boots and 2 Venters for a total of 40% quantity. It's not huge, but it's a hell of a lot more than no quantity at all. If I was to go full on juice and remake a character because I wasn't so lazy, I would probably get Sedimas for an extra 10% and probably go with a bow character with a Windripper for an extra 15% or whatever. That would push it to another level, especially paired with a Divination Distiate. That would be really, really juicy. But, like I said, I'm kind of lazy, so I'm not going to go full on out. But this is essentially what I think right now is the best currency generator in the game in terms of 100% Delirious. Now, another advantage of having currency on here is that you drop exalts, you drop currency. You don't drop anything that you need to sell, which has been a problem with the API lately. You literally just drop things that you throw in your stash, and all of a sudden you have more money than you had before. That's pretty much all you're going to drop in these maps, by the way. Pure currency and 6 links. That's the vast majority of what you're actually going to be dropping. So, there's really no reason to worry about anything else, because you're buying fractured fossils, and then you're farming currency to buy more fractured fossils, and then whatever is left over is your profit. You don't have to sell anything, and that is also pretty nice. But that is pretty much what I think right now is the best setup for Tower T2, the Watchstones, and the Sextant modifiers that I personally will be using with my Atlas skill tree, with my Uncharted Realms looking something like this. Secret of Stones, Awakener level 9. Close Allies is just for additional master missions. Oh, I guess I'll finish off with saying this. You'll note that I didn't put Alva on my Sextants, which is something that the guy did in his guide, and I think that's a mistake. The reason why you don't put Alva is because it's very easy to farm Alva missions. I made a video the other day on infinite Alva missions. As you can see, I have 41 red Alvas, and that took about, I think I had 14, and I got all the way up to 48 or something within like an hour of farming the strategy that I mentioned. The only thing is that in the video of the strategy, I mentioned Vault of Adziri. Unfortunately, even if there's no writing anywhere that I could find that says that it shouldn't work, it doesn't apply to unique maps, but it's sometimes applied to unique maps, so it's kind of like spaghetti code. But don't worry about it. You could go with Park, you could go with Mesa, you could go with City Square. And those are all going to be maps that will allow you to farm missions with the strategy that I mentioned in the video. I personally go with park rotations with Alva, T1 Alva 4 times, and the amount of Alva missions you get is absolutely insane, especially because you only need to bring like 10 maps, 6 people, crazy amounts of Alvas, and you're good to go for like the next few days. 41 Alvas is literally almost a week worth of grinding for me. So, before I go, as always, want to say a huge thank you to my supporters, Johnny, Michael, Cluzes, Rashi, Luro, Gaikona, Stefan, Krunen, Michael, JW Player, Scott, Richard, Justin, Alex, Ollie, Matt, Kevin, Marcus, Matthias, Hayden, Bitizen, Axel, and Acid. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.